You know, we're all taught the same basic math in life. The effort you put in is the reward you get out. Put in 80%, you get 80% back. Simple, right? But what if that's just completely wrong? What if the biggest rewards in life don't follow that straight line at all, but exist on a totally different, kind of crazy exponential curve?
So this whole idea really kicked off for me with a quote from Stephen Bartlett. And it's one of those ideas that just stops you in your tracks. He says that the final push, that last 20%, doesn't just give you a little bit more. It can literally launch you into another universe of results. I know, it sounds like an exaggeration, but when you really start to look at how unbelievable success actually happens, you see this pattern over and over again.
So, first things first, we have to tear down this myth that we all live by, this idea that reasonable effort is ever going to get you anything more than reasonable results.
Okay, so on one hand, you've got the world we're all told to expect. Linear. You put in the work, you get a fair return. Makes sense. But the reality, especially for people at the absolute top of their game, it just doesn't work that way. The jump from 80% to 100% effort, it isn't a tiny 20% bump. It's a quantum leap. It's where you get these wild 1,000% type returns that put you in a league all by yourself.
So why? Why does this happen? Well, it's because almost everybody on the planet operates in what you could call the reasonable range, that first 80%. And man, is it crowded there. It's the land of good enough. It's where all the popular talk about balance and self-care encourages us to stay. And hey, it feels safe, right? It's manageable. But it's also a trap. It's a plateau that is designed to give you an average outcome. And that's it.
And that right there, that is the whole game. Pushing into that last 20%, it isn't just about grinding out a few more hours. It's not just more. It's a total shift in who you are. It's about the person you have to become to keep pushing forward when every single rational fiber of your being is screaming at you to just stop.
And this brings us to the part of the conversation that, let's be honest, gets a little uncomfortable. Because what it takes to get into that final zone, it is not fueled by motivational quotes and green smoothies.
First up, obsession. I'm talking about a relentless, all-consuming focus that just blots out everything else. It might not be healthy, but it is undeniably powerful.
And number two, delusion. It's that irrational, almost insane belief that you can actually achieve something that everyone else says is impossible. You have to see it, feel it, live it in your head long before it ever becomes a reality.
And the third one, the one that's the most controversial, is often trauma. A deep insecurity, a wound from the past, a desperate, burning need to prove something to someone. I mean, let's be real. Happy, well-adjusted people don't typically feel the need to build empires. That extraordinary drive, it's often forged in fire.
Now I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like you're glorifying burnout, and that's a fair point. But this isn't a prescription for how you should live. It's just an honest observation of what it seems to take. The simple truth is, you cannot expect world-changing results to come from comfortable, normal, everyday conditions. It just doesn't happen.
And that's the secret, right there. The very discomfort is the reason the rewards are so insanely massive. Because by the time you've pushed through that wall of pain to get to the 100% zone, guess what? You're all alone. Everybody else went home. The crowd quit the second it stopped being reasonable.
All right, so let's talk about that massive payoff. How does this whole thing actually work? How is it even possible? Well, this is where a powerful concept called leverage comes into play.
I mean, that's the central question, isn't it? It feels like it breaks the laws of physics. Just a little more input for a reward that's 10, maybe even 100 times bigger. How on earth is that possible? The answer is leverage. But we're not talking about money here. We're talking about human leverage. It's this wild, disproportionate advantage that you can only find in one place, at the absolute outer edge of your capacity. Right at the point where you feel like you're about to break. That's where the real breakthroughs are hiding.
So think of that final 20% as this brutal filter. When you get to this zone, just being talented isn't enough anymore. Everybody who makes it this far is talented. Luck? It starts to become less and less of a factor. What really matters now is just pure gritty will and patience. You're forced to invent, to adapt, to dig up parts of yourself you didn't even know were there, just to survive.
And here's the mindset shift that changes the whole game. The exponential reward isn't for the amount of work you do. It's a prize that's paid out for your tolerance of pain. It's a reward for being willing to stay in that uncomfortable, uncertain place that makes 99% of people turn and run. So in the end, it's that simple. Pain becomes the gatekeeper. It's the filter that separates the truly great from the merely good. And you either find a way through that gate or you turn back with everyone else.
But look, let's be fair and challenge this whole thing for a second, because this is not some magic formula for success. And that brings us to the final, most important question, which is really all about a choice you have to make. So here's the trade-off, laid out plain and simple. The critics are right. Going all in does not guarantee you're going to win. You can push yourself to the absolute brink and still fail. That's the risk. But on the other side of that coin is a guarantee. If you don't go all in, you are guaranteed to never know what your true potential was. You'll die wondering how far you could have gone.
And let's be brutally honest about the price of admission here. Chasing that 100% zone is painful. It is lonely. It is, by its very nature, uncomfortable. And frankly, a lot of the time, it isn't healthy. This path is not for everyone, and it absolutely should not be.
But for those few of you out there who just have something inside, that hunger, that fire that just won't let you settle, there is this promise. In that tiny, brutal little gap between doing almost enough and going truly all in, there is a version of your life waiting for you that, from where you're standing now, looks completely and utterly impossible.
So, we're not going to end with an answer today. We're going to end with a question for you. That impossible version of your life, it exists. That's not up for debate. The real question is, are you willing to become the person who's capable of reaching it?